Hey there, my name is, well, let's just say it's not my real name. I'll call myself Echo for the sake of this story. I'm a huge fan of science fiction and fantasy, and I've been attending fan conventions for years. I've always loved the energy and excitement of these events, where you can meet fellow fans, attend panels and workshops, and get up close and personal with your favorite celebrities. I've been to my fair share of cons, from small local gatherings to massive multi-day events like Comic-Con. But this year's FanFest convention was supposed to be different. It was going to be the biggest and best one yet, with an all-star lineup of guests and a slew of exciting panels and events. As I stood in line to pick up my badge and program, I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and anticipation. I had been looking forward to this convention for months, and I was determined to make the most of it. But as I chatted with the other fans in line, I started to notice a sense of unease in the air. People were whispering to each other in hushed tones, and there was a nervous energy that was palpable. I brushed it off as mere excitement, but as I made my way to the first panel of the day, I started to hear rumors of a curse that was supposed to be plaguing the convention. Apparently, there was a tragic incident at FanFest several years ago, in which a fan was seriously injured during a crowded autograph session. The incident was widely reported in the media, and it's said that the convention has never been the same since. I'm not one to believe in curses or ghost stories, but as I walked through the crowded exhibit hall, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The lights seemed to flicker, and the air was thick with an eerie, unsettling energy. I tried to tell myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but as I looked around at the other fans, I realized that I wasn't the only one who was feeling it. Fan conventions are supposed to be a celebration of fandom, I thought to myself. But what happens when the fans are the ones being hunted? Suddenly, the convention didn't seem so fun anymore. In fact, it was starting to feel like a nightmare from which I may not awaken. As I stepped into the convention center, I was immediately swept up in a sea of color and sound. The air was electric with excitement, and the crowds were buzzing with anticipation. Fans of all ages and backgrounds milled about, dressed in elaborate costumes that ranged from intricate superhero suits to elaborate fantasy creatures. The smell of sugary snacks and freshly printed merchandise wafted through the air, mingling with the hum of conversation and the occasional burst of music from a nearby booth. But amidst all the excitement, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It was a subtle sense of unease, a nagging feeling that something was lurking just beneath the surface. I glanced around, taking in the crowds and the vendors, but everything seemed normal. The convention center was a massive, sprawling complex, with rows of booths and exhibits stretching out as far as the eye could see. The walls were adorned with giant banners and posters, featuring images of popular characters and franchises. As I made my way through the crowds, I noticed that people were whispering to each other in hushed tones. They would glance around nervously as if they were afraid of being overheard. I caught snippets of conversation, mentions of strange occurrences and unexplained events that had taken place at past conventions held at this venue. Some people spoke of ghostly apparitions and unexplained noises, while others whispered about mysterious disappearances and bizarre occurrences. I had heard the rumors, of course. Everyone had. The convention center was said to be built on the site of an old asylum, a place where the mentally ill had been housed and treated. There were stories of patient abuse and neglect, of experimental treatments and tragic accidents. The asylum had been closed down decades ago, but the building had been left standing, a haunting reminder of the dark history that had taken place within its walls. Years later, the building had been renovated and reopened as a convention center, a place where people could gather to celebrate their love of science fiction and fantasy. But the dark history of the asylum had never been fully erased. People would whisper about the strange occurrences and unexplained events that had taken place within the building, and some would even claim to have seen the ghosts of former patients wandering the halls. I didn't believe it, of course. I was a skeptic, a rational person who didn't put stock in ghost stories and urban legends. But as I walked through the convention center, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me, something that didn't want me there. I glanced around, but there was never anyone there. Just the crowds, the noise, and the endless stream of colorful costumes and merchandise. And then I saw it. A flyer. tucked away in a corner of the convention center. It was an advertisement for a panel discussion, one that promised to explore the dark history of the asylum and the strange occurrences that had taken place within its walls. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I read the description, and I couldn't help but wonder if there was any truth to the rumors. Was the convention center really haunted, or was it just a clever marketing ploy to draw in crowds? I decided to attend the panel discussion to see if I could uncover the truth behind the rumors and the legends. Little did I know, I was about to embark on a journey that would change my life forever. As I continued to explore the convention center, I started to notice strange things that made me feel like something was off. At first, I wrote it off as mere paranoia or the result of too much caffeine, but as the occurrences continued, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. It started during a panel discussion on the latest sci-fi TV show. The lights in the room began to flicker, and the speakers' voices were interrupted by a strange, unsettling hum. The audience exchanged nervous glances, and I could feel the tension in the room build. The panelists tried to brush it off as a technical issue, but I couldn't help but wonder if it was something more. Later, while walking through the exhibit hall, I saw a cosplayer dressed as a ghostly figure. At first, I thought it was just a really good costume, but as I approached, the figure vanished into thin air. I spun around, thinking I must have missed them, but there was no one there. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I realized that I must have imagined it. But the strange occurrences didn't stop there. As I walked through the empty corridors, I started to hear whispers. At first, I thought it was just the wind or the sound of people talking in the distance, but as I listened more closely, I realized that the whispers were coming from all around me. They were soft and indistinct, but they sent a chill down my spine. I also started to notice shadowy figures in reflections. I would catch glimpses of them out of the corner of my eye, but whenever I turned to look, there would be no one there. I started to feel like I was being watched, and the feeling only intensified as the day went on. It wasn't until I met up with a fellow attendee, a friend I had made earlier in the day, that I heard about the off-limits room. We were chatting about the convention and the various panels and events we had attended when she mentioned a specific room on the upper floor that was supposedly haunted. "I've heard that room 314 is off-limits," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "People say it's haunted by the ghost of a former patient from the asylum that used to be here." I felt a surge of curiosity and excitement. I had to know more. "What's the story behind it?" I asked, my eyes locked on hers. She leaned in, a conspiratorial look on her face. "I've heard that people who go into that room never come out the same. Some say they've seen ghostly apparitions or heard strange noises. Others claim to have experienced strange visions or feelings of intense dread." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I listened to her words. I had to see it for myself. I had to know if the rumors were true. "Let's go check it out," I said, a sense of determination in my voice. My friend's eyes widened in alarm. "Are you crazy? We can't just go into a haunted room!" But I was undeterred. I had to know the truth. And so, with a sense of trepidation and excitement, I set off to investigate the mysterious room 314. As I delved deeper into the mystery, I stumbled upon a group of fans who were obsessed with the venue's haunted history. They were huddled in a corner of the convention center, sharing stories of attendees who had gone missing or reported bizarre experiences. I listened in, fascinated as they spoke of strange occurrences and unexplained events that had taken place within the venue's walls. One of them, a young woman with a pierced nose and a black leather jacket, caught my eye. She was speaking in hushed tones, her words sending shivers down my spine. "I've heard that the spirits here feed on energy," she said, her eyes glinting with a mixture of fear and excitement, "especially the energy of passionate fans." I felt a chill run down my spine as I listened to her words. Could it be true? Was the venue really haunted by malevolent spirits that fed on the energy of fans? I didn't know what to believe, but I was determined to find out more. As I continued to explore the convention center, strange things started to happen directly to me. My phone began to glitch, showing distorted images and strange symbols. I tried to brush it off as a technical issue, but deep down I knew that something was off. I also started to find cryptic messages written in the program guide or scrawled on the walls. "Leave while you can," they read. I felt a sense of unease as I read the words, wondering who could have written them and why. But it was during a panel discussion that things took a dark turn. The speaker, a well-known author in the sci-fi community, seemed to become possessed, muttering incoherent but menacing words. The audience was shocked and frightened, and I was no exception. I felt a sense of dread wash over me as I realized that something was very wrong. As I looked around, I noticed that the convention's organizers seemed to be watching the scene with a mixture of interest and concern. They were whispering to each other, their faces pale and worried. I began to suspect that they knew more than they were letting on, that they were hiding something from the attendees. I decided to investigate further, to see if I could uncover the truth behind the strange occurrences and the haunted history of the venue. I started to ask questions, to poke around and see if I could find any clues. And what I found was shocking. It seemed that the convention's organizers had been aware of the venue's haunted history all along. They had even taken steps to try and mitigate the effects, to protect the attendees from the malevolent spirits that lurked within the walls. But it was too late. The damage was done. The spirits had already begun to feed, and I was starting to suspect that I was their next target. I felt a sense of fear and panic as I realized the truth. I was trapped in a haunted convention center, surrounded by malevolent spirits that fed on the energy of passionate fans. And I had no idea how to escape. As the sun set on the convention center, I found myself part of a small group of attendees who had managed to sneak into the off-limits area after hours. The group consisted of a skeptic, a believer, and someone who had been acting strangely all day. I had met them earlier in the day, and we had all been drawn to the forbidden area like moths to a flame. As we made our way deeper into the area, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The air was thick with an eerie energy, and I could feel the weight of the convention center's dark history bearing down on us. Suddenly, the lights flickered and died, plunging us into darkness. I heard the sound of mannequins and props coming to life, their movements jerky and unnatural. The group was separated by the sudden blackout, and I was left stumbling through the darkness, desperate to find my way back to the others. As I moved through the darkness, I started to hear eerie noises. Footsteps echoed through the corridors, and I could feel the presence of something malevolent lurking just out of sight. I stumbled upon a life-sized mascot costume, its hollow eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. It started to stalk me, its movements slow and deliberate. I tried to run, but my feet felt heavy, as if they were rooted to the spot. The mascot costume loomed over me, its eyes burning with an otherworldly energy. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. And then I saw it. A symbol etched into the wall, pulsing with a dark energy. It was the same symbol that I had seen earlier in the day, the one that had been hidden in the program guide. I realized, with a jolt of horror, that the convention was a ritual. The organizers were using the gathered energy of the fans to awaken something ancient and malevolent. The truth hit me like a ton of bricks. The strange occurrences, the eerie feelings, the unexplained events, it was all part of a larger plan. The convention was a sacrifice, a way to harness the energy of the fans and use it to summon something from beyond the veil. As I stood there frozen in terror, the mascot costume reached out and touched my face. I felt a surge of energy run through my body and everything went black. When I came to, I was lying on the floor, my head throbbing with pain. The group was scattered around me, some of them unconscious, others staring at me with a mixture of fear and confusion. The mascot costume was nowhere to be seen, but I could feel its presence still, lurking just out of sight. We stumbled out of the off-limits area, our minds reeling with the implications of what we had discovered. The convention was a ritual, a way to summon something ancient and malevolent, and we had been a part of it, unwittingly or not. As we emerged into the bright lights of the convention center, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. We had made it out alive, but I knew that our experience would stay with us forever. The convention had been a descent into madness, a journey into the heart of darkness, and we had come out the other side, forever changed. As I emerged from the off-limits area, I was met with a mix of relief and horror. Some of my group didn't make it, and those who did were forever changed. We were all shaken, our minds reeling with the implications of what we had discovered. The next day, I returned to the convention center, still trying to process what had happened. But as I walked through the crowds, I was struck by the sense of normalcy that had returned. Attendees were laughing and chatting, oblivious to the horrors that had occurred just hours before. I approached one of the organizers, determined to confront them about what had happened. But they just smiled and denied anything unusual had occurred. It was just a prank, they said, a silly joke that got out of hand. I knew that wasn't true. I had seen the symbol, felt the energy of the ritual. I knew that something ancient and malevolent had been awakened, and that we had all been a part of it. As I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I glanced over my shoulder, but there was no one there. I quickened my pace, my heart racing with anticipation, and then I received an email. The subject line read, "See you next year." I felt a chill run down my spine as I opened the message. There was no text, just a single image, a picture of the symbol we had seen in the off-limits area. I knew then that I had to get out of there, to leave the convention and never look back. But as I turned to leave, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A group of attendees, all wearing the same symbol on their badges. They were watching me, their eyes cold and calculating. I knew then that I was in grave danger. The ritual had awakened something and it was coming for me. I had to get out of there, to escape before it was too late. I turned and ran, pushing through the crowds as I desperately tried to find a way out. But as I looked back, I saw the symbol everywhere, on badges, on posters, even on the walls. It was a reminder that I was being watched, that I would never be able to escape the horrors that had occurred at the convention. And as I finally emerged into the bright sunlight, I knew that I would never be the same again. The convention had changed me, had awakened something within me that I couldn't ignore. I was forever changed, and I knew that I would never be able to go back to the way things were before. The email had been a warning, a reminder that I was being watched. And as I looked back at the convention center, I knew that I would have to be careful. The ritual had awakened something, and it was coming for me. I had to be ready. As I walked away from the convention center, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered within me. I knew that I had to warn others about what had happened, but as I tried to share my story, I was met with skepticism and dismissal. No one believes me, I thought to myself, feeling a sense of frustration and isolation. They think I'm just some crazy fan who got too caught up in the excitement of the convention. But I knew what I had seen, and I knew what I had experienced. The ritual, the symbol, the feeling of being watched, it was all too real. And as I started to notice strange things in my daily life, I couldn't help but wonder if I was being haunted by the very thing that I had uncovered. Faint whispers in the night, flickering lights in my apartment, and an overall sense of unease that seemed to follow me everywhere I went. It was as if the convention had awakened something within me, something that I couldn't shake. As I sat in my apartment, surrounded by the evidence I had collected, I couldn't help but feel a sense of trepidation. Should I destroy it all? Try to forget what had happened and move on with my life? Or should I attend the next convention, try to uncover the full truth behind the ritual and the symbol? I looked at the symbol, etched into the wall of my apartment, and felt a shiver run down my spine. It was a reminder of what I had seen, of what I had experienced. And as I thought about it, I couldn't help but wonder if I was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The convention had changed me, had awakened something within me that I couldn't ignore. And as I sat there weighing my options, I knew that I had to make a decision. Would I destroy the evidence and try to move on, or would I attend the next convention and risk everything to uncover the truth? The answer, for now, remained unclear. But as I sat in the darkness, surrounded by the faint whispers and flickering lights, I knew that I would have to make a choice soon. The convention had left its mark on me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that it was only the beginning. As I sat there, lost in thought, the whispers seemed to grow louder, the lights flickering with an otherworldly energy. And I knew, in that moment, that I was not alone. The convention had awakened something, and it was coming for me. The story ends here, but the unease lingers on. The truth behind the convention remains a mystery, and the protagonist is left to ponder the consequences of their discovery. Will they attend the next convention, or will they destroy the evidence and try to move on? The answer, much like the truth behind the convention, remains unknown. Share your own fan convention experiences or theories about haunted venues in the comments below. If you're curious about more eerie events and unexplained phenomena, check out my other videos. Like and subscribe for more thrilling content. Thank you for watching this chilling story. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more terrifying tales. Explore other genres of horror and scary stories on this channel. There's something to keep every horror fan awake at night. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload.